French newspaper review. Flo's here for the French papers. Time to have a look at what's grabbing the headlines here in France. The government shutdown in the US, the hot topic in the press today, isn't it,
That's right. It's all over the French press today. Let's start by looking at Le Monde, which is very factual about things. It says that because the Republicans and Democrats failed to reach a deal on the budget, well, here we have it. The U.S. federal government is shutting down. In its editorial, Le Monde says, Jefferson, wake up, they've all gone crazy. And it wonders what happened to the great, flexible American political system, a political system that was balanced in the center and achieved reform through compromise. What happened to this system that so many Europeans used to really admire? Well, Le Monde says it's become really sick over the years. America's democracy is working less and less well. It's increasingly polarized. It's been taken hostage by the Republicans, according to Le Monde, and especially by what it calls the fundamentalist Tea Party. And Le Monde says that the founding fathers would really be ashamed today.
And a lot of the focus in the French press really on how Obama's dealing with this situation.
That's right. It's on the front page of Le Figaro today. Obama is facing a serious political crisis, it says. And it says that he has really fallen a victim to the blackmail from Republicans. And in its editorial, Le Figaro takes a closer look at this and says that what Republicans want him to do here is give up his big project, Obamacare. But if Obama really gives in to this blackmail, if he gives in to this extortion, he'll just become a lame duck and have his hands tied for the remaining 40 months he has at the White House, rather. So it recommends him not to do that. The Huffington Post, meanwhile, takes a look at another side of things, and that's the fact that maybe all this is actually playing to Obama's advantage. And it says here that he could be crying crocodile tears. It's secretly rubbing his hands over this whole thing. And why is that? Well, it's because in the end, Republicans are going to come out looking really bad and responsible for this whole thing. So it'll make him look good because they look bad.
Makes sense, I suppose. Could it happen in France? Some of the papers asking.
That's right. Les Echos, the business paper, takes a look at what it calls this science fiction scenario. What would happen? The government is huge here. You would have thousands, hundreds of thousands of civil servants out of work, tourists lining up at the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre, only to find them closed. But a lot of papers like Le Figaro are pointing out that it actually couldn't happen here in France for several reasons. First of all, technically, the parliament works in a very different way here, and it can't force the government into an administrative shutdown. But also politically, no party would really want to get all of France's civil servants on its back. And also historically, because the federal government in the United States is just one institution among many. But here in France, the government is really the heart and soul of the country. So if the government shut down, well, it would really be the heart and soul and our national identity in general, which would shut down. But a lot of papers think that maybe it would actually be good to have a shutdown. That's on the front page of L'Opinion, the pro-business paper, that says, this is actually a great mechanism. And it says, bring on a French shutdown. Isn't it the role of government elected officials to make sure that the government is well managed and the finances are in order?
You would have thought France maybe had enough of shutdowns. Anyway, unrest in Mali also getting some attention in the French press. This is clashes breaking out in the north of the country.
That's right. Le Figaro says the tensions are reaching a fever pitch in Mali between authorities and Tuareg rebels. The National Movement for the Liberation of Azawad says the government is not respecting its commitments. Now, all this has forced the president, Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, to, he was visiting France to shorten his trip here in Paris. And this is in Le Monde that takes a closer look at the challenges he's facing just 2 weeks after his inauguration. Now, it points out that this is not a security threat to the whole country, but it's a stark reminder that the military operations against the Islamist fighters in the north didn't really solve the problem with the issue with Tuareg separatists.
And finally, the Pope getting a lot of press today. Yesterday, he met with cardinals for historic talks on reform.
That's
Catholic
right.
Church,
There's a terrible pun on the front page of Libération
we
today.
like puns.
Well, usually, but this one's really bad. It's not Château Neuf du Pape, which is a great wine, of course. It's Chapeau Neuf du Pape, so the Pope's new hat. And Libération takes a closer look at just how he's trying to reform the church. He's simple, more accessible, but will he be able to shake up the conservative institution? In its editorial, Libération points out that on moral and society issues, the Catholic Church seems really out of tune with modern times, whether it's on the role of women or homosexuals or abortion. And now, Libération says that Pope Francis has given some encouraging signs that he's going to change things, but will he really be able to change the very conservative institution? That remains to be seen.
That's the French papers on France 24 with Flo Villeminot. She'll be back later on with the international ones, of course. Stay with us for the next half hour. Coming up very soon, the latest, of course, on the US. Plus, we've a special report coming up for you with the opposition in Syria. Now, I'm not talking about the exiled opposition supported by much of the international community, but the opposition within Syria itself, tolerated by the regime. Our correspondents will be speaking to them in Damascus for today's focus in the next half hour, so stay with us for that.